When we play through Zelda games, it's a thrilling and exciting adventure through a vast landscape that you couldn't even imagine, filled with all sorts of surprises and emotions throughout one epic journey. Now, Zelda games have a lot of memorable moments filled with many emotions. These can vary from happy moments to sad moments, or even surprised moments. Now, as it's Halloween today, I thought what could be better than looking at some of the most scary and terrifying moments from the Legend of Zelda series. I've picked out 5 moments from the Legend of Zelda games that truly terrified me when I played them, and they still do today. Anyway, let's get into this Halloween special and take a look at some of the most terrifying moments in the Legend of Zelda series. I want to begin this list with something that always manages to freak me out and give me chills every time I see them. For this one, I've picked out the shadow beasts from Twilight Princess. I remember the first time I saw one of these demonic creatures back when I first played the game. Also, the game was mostly peaceful up until this point too, so I was fairly relaxed and a little too laid back. Then, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, these creatures dropped from the sky, and you're instantly trapped with them in a tight area with no escape. This is a situation where you don't have much time to think at all, and when something that looks like this is dropped right in front of you that early in the game, it can definitely send you straight into panic mode. Also, you can't forget that hellish screech that they let out too when you fail to take them out. For my younger self, that was absolutely terrifying, and I still get pretty freaked out taking them on today. Also, just the way they run towards you and surround you is scary, as they move at such a fast and alarming pace and can strike you so quickly if you aren't careful. Next up, we are moving to Ocarina of Time, the highest rated game on Metacritic and various other sites. Whilst it may appear as a game that almost anyone can play, you'd be surprised. So for this pick, I chose the Shadow Temple. Now, this dungeon honestly scared the living shit out of me when I was younger. Where do I start? There's the torture-like obstacles in the dungeon, the creepy design of the dungeon itself, the horrifying enemies you can find, and one of the things that got to me the most, the dark, creepy music. At times, all of that honestly forced me into taking breaks from the game, as I was that scared and petrified of the dungeon. Also, to make it worse, this game is rated E for everyone. How on earth can this be rated E for everyone? Who made that decision? You know how many nightmares I had because of this? And I totally 100% read that rating too, and thought it's okay for everyone to go and then find this horrifying dungeon. My much younger self was scared to death at some of this stuff. Thankfully though, I eventually beat the dungeon. Well, it took a while, as I wouldn't play the game after 7 PM due to how scared I was. My main reason for picking this dungeon as one whole thing is because everything together in this dungeon is like making up a nightmare, and who can forget the boss Bongo Bongo? Well, I surprisingly wasn't that scared of him actually. It really is a terrifying dungeon however, and I don't think any dungeons can compete with this one for the darkest or scariest dungeon in the entire Zelda series. Now, this next one is going to be from a more recent game, Skyward Sword. In the most recent game, Breath of the Wild, we experienced the mighty guardians that can give you a little fright. But if you've played Skyward Sword, you will know this is where the real scary guardians are from. And trust me, these ones are a lot more terrifying than Breath of the Wild's. So we find these tall, bulky guardians within the Silent Realm sections of the game, and just the general ambience and silence to the area itself already creates creepy and chilling vibes. We need to go collect the Tears of the Goddess during these segments. However, we have these to deal with, along with the Watchers. Well, they sort of work as a team. So how it works is, you go around the realm collecting the tears. However, if you are so unfortunate to step inside the searchlight of the Watchers, then all hell can break loose. Basically, these massive guardians can start chasing you down, and you need to find a safe zone before they catch you. It is definitely intense and scary when the chasing music plays and you can see them closing in on you, and if you don't make it to that safe zone in time, they will one-hit you. This pick is more terrifying due to how quiet and somewhat peaceful it is before you get caught, but the second you are noticed, oh, you are in trouble. This next one is something that terrified me the most when I was a lot younger, but every time I see this character, I still get chills and little flashbacks to being terrified back in the day. For this pick, I went with the King of Twilight, Zant. Everything about him scared me when I was younger, and I think because I was that scared then, that's exactly why I still am just as scared today. From his peculiar odd movements to his bold stances as he stares you down, and when you finally see his face behind that daunting mask, well, other than him looking a little bit like Benedict Cumberbatch, it's creepy in itself. For a good while in the game, Zant seems like your biggest threat, and to be honest, I always considered him the biggest threat to me, just out of pure fear. I was pretty terrified. From the scene where he invades the throne room with the shadow beasts alongside him, to when we meet him in the Palace of Twilight and he starts to go a little bit crazy. Well, those two moments in particular scared me a lot, as they were really intense. I mean, Zant just broke into what you think is one of the most guarded places in Hyrule, and he did it so easily. Then, in the Palace of Twilight, he just makes himself so intimidating when he steps off his throne, to then lose the plot, which was just straight up creepy itself. I played Twilight Princess for the first time at a fairly young age, and his crazy antics throughout the game really freaked me out and actually terrified me. I'm someone who will always get scared by creepy sounds and dark personalities. One thing that really got me was just after the Lakebed Temple, once you've defeated the boss Morpheal, and you are then teleported to the spring. Then, all of a sudden, you try to turn round and walk away, and Zant appears. Out of nowhere, he is just there. I can even remember the exact moment I dropped my Wii remote and jumped up when I saw him, as I just could not see something like that coming. Also, at the end of the game, once Ganondorf has been impaled through the chest with the Master Sword, Zant appears to finish him off. When he jerked his head to the side and that echoing crack sound plays, that creeped me the hell out. But at least that was the game finished, and I could relax a little. To then play it again 10 years later in HD. Anyway, Zant is actually one of my favourite villains in the Legend of Zelda series, but also the one that terrifies me the most. Now, to finish this list off, I thought we would go back to a first encounter with an enemy that scared me quite a lot. For this pick, I've chosen the Redead Knights from Twilight Princess, well, along with the regular Redeads throughout the series. I'm sure this is one of those enemies that got quite a lot of people when they were younger. To be honest, it all started with the Ocarina of Time Redeads for me, and then every time they reappeared in the series, that fear of them returned. Now, no, they aren't as scary as, say, Zan or the Shadow Temple, but these are probably one of the first ever things in The Legend of Zelda to truly scare me. I mean, the design of them themselves is terrifying in Ocarina of Time. Then, eventually when we get to Twilight Princess, they are now knights. That's basically my childhood trauma, but now with a sword to attack me. So, the iteration in Twilight Princess is by far the one I fear the most currently. However, the regular redeads in games like Majora's Mask and The Wind Waker also did get me. That's exactly why my first encounter with the Redead Knights make my list of the most terrifying moments in The Legend of Zelda, as it brought back such an awful childhood fear and really scared me. That is the top 5 moments in The Legend of Zelda that scare and terrify me the most. Also, I want to say, no, that wasn't really in a particular order, more just my top 5 in one video. I really hope you enjoyed this Halloween special. It was a ton of fun to finally make a special video for an occasion, and as I've been saying for the past week or so in videos and on social media, I am finally ramping up production and getting a video up every Friday at the minimum, as well as streaming. You can find more specific info on times and whatnot in my Discord server, which you can also join through the link below. We talk about Zelda, gaming, and just whatever really. Once more, I hope you all really enjoyed this video, happy Halloween, and until the next time, I've been Hyrule Gamer.